Unmasking Narcissistic Manipulation: How to Recognize and Break the Cycle of Emotional Toxicity and Toxic Relationships. Author, Navarro. Introduction. You may have arrived here seeking answers to questions that have tormented you for some time. Perhaps you have felt that something in your relationship, whether with a partner, a family member, or even a close friend, doesn't add up. You find yourself constantly doubting your own perception of reality, as if the other person had the power to flip situations and make you think the problem is you. Or maybe you've noticed that certain behaviors, subtle humiliations, constant criticism, or an oversized ego are not mere everyday frictions, but signs of something deeper, a manipulation pattern that's wearing you down emotionally. Very likely, as you dug deeper, you stumbled upon the word narcissist. And in that instant, you felt a flash of clarity. Could this be exactly what describes the dynamic you're living? You are not alone. More and more people around the world are asking themselves the same thing. In the last decade, the term narcissism has moved from belonging almost exclusively to the field of psychology to becoming part of everyday conversation. A quick internet search will bring up countless articles, videos, and forums discussing toxic relationships with a narcissist, gaslighting, or emotional blackmail. In fact, global searches related to narcissism have grown exponentially, at times surpassing popular terms like toxic relationship or breakup. For many, this phenomenon is no surprise. We live in a hyper-connected era where personal image, constant approval seeking, and instant validation on social media can accentuate and even normalize narcissistic traits. Additionally, the need to label and understand behaviors that were once brushed off as simple personality differences has propelled this massive diffusion. The urgency and relevance of this topic are clear. Talking about narcissism is not just about someone with an inflated ego. It is recognizing a behavioral pattern that, at its most toxic, can destroy the self-esteem and emotional well-being of those who silently endure it. It's not merely that the narcissistic person is a bit full of themselves or vain. Rather, they may develop an entire arsenal of subtle yet damaging tactics to keep others under control. These tactics range from obvious emotional manipulation, such as constant criticism or belittlement, to more covert forms like gaslighting, where seeds of doubt are planted until the victim questions their own judgment and sanity. Think of Laura, for example, a fictional name but a very real story. She fell in love with what seemed like the perfect man, attentive, charismatic, full of romantic gestures. In the first months, he showered her with compliments and promised a dream future. Everything felt like a fairy tale. But as time passed, that prince began to show a different side. He subtly criticized her clothing, made her feel guilty for not dedicating all her time to him, and even accused her of being too sensitive whenever she dared to complain. Little by little, Laura lost confidence in herself, believing her insecurities were the root of all their problems. Eventually, she couldn't tell whether what she was experiencing was normal or psychological abuse disguised as love. What she didn't know was that she was entangled in a relationship with someone exhibiting narcissistic traits, and she urgently needed information and help to escape the emotional labyrinth trapping her. Cases like Laura's repeat more often than we imagine. People convinced that everything is their fault for being sensitive, or that every couple argues, unaware that they are victims of a destructive pattern. Maybe you're reading this and feel a deep resonance, a sort of internal click telling you, this sounds a lot like what I'm going through. Or perhaps you want to prevent falling into that trap. It's even possible that a friend or family member has shared their experiences with you. And with the growing information available, you now want to learn how to identify these behaviors to help them. That is precisely the purpose of this book, to provide clarity and support for those affected by the emotional manipulation of a person with narcissistic traits, as well as for those seeking to better understand this psychological phenomenon that seems to have multiplied or at least become far more
Sample complete. Ready to continue?